This play, Glengarry Glen Ross, is about the cutthroat world of real estate salesmen. These guys are placed in a situation where it's very competitive, a little bit of a toxic environment, and they really have to compete to try and get up on the board and win the big prize at the end. And it creates for a lot of chaos and fear and anxiety and toxicity in the workspace.
Yeah.
I play a salesman, and Chris plays the guy who's running the competition.
Yeah, I play the office manager, who is a representative of the owners of the company, has no sales experience whatsoever, and is pretty much universally loathed by the other salesmen in the office.
So it becomes a sort of ruthless, money-grabbing, corruption, greedy type story about how these four salesmen react to the obstacles that have been thrown at them.
A character was added to the film that isn't in the play. The play is more of it's more about the people, in a sense. We get to know them better, I think, in the play than in the film. The film is very, very slick and very and fascinating for that. But there's more depth to the play, I think. And there's stuff you learn from the play that's simply not in the film.
Well, it was obviously a play first before it was adapted into a film, but the story remains intact. I suppose the key difference with the play is that it's set in fewer locations. It's set in two places, whereas the film obviously moves around a bit more. You get a sort of fuller meal in a way with the play because you get the full text, and so you get to know the characters slightly more deeply. It's obviously a very live experience, and an audience responds kind of really warmly to the madness on stage.
So Sam and I went on a bit of a journey, marinating in all these incredible references and films of the 80s and looking at Chicago and the way Chicago was. Even down to the public transport and the sounds of the city. So it was just this big sort of exploration of a million things that then started feeding into the materials that we decided to use with the set. These kind of hard metal edges and kind of hostile rooms that these men operate in.
The main difference for me, I think, between the play and the film is the amount of laughter there is in the theatre every night. The film's brilliant, and I'm a huge admirer of it, but it's quite bleak. It's compelling and really packs a punch. And all that is in the play, but what we've been mining and working for the last 12 previews is that laughter, and trying to hone that and make it as joyous an experience as we possibly can.
The play is great fun, you know. It is a bit of a sort of its time, you know. The parlance and the vernacular is a bit, you know, you wouldn't really get away with it these days. But you know, it is of its time. You know, it is set in the 80s, and it's good fun as well. And if people walk out of the theatre having had a good time, and then the message starts to bleed through, then that's really effective, I think.
It's exciting to get the opportunity to do this play and introduce it to a new generation of theater goers. Certainly, that's thrilling, and also it's the thing about the arts, I think, is it gives us an opportunity to hold up a mirror and reflect back to us of what it was like at a particular time. You know, I mean, this is set in 1983, and you know, it gives us a chance to ask the question, you know. Or look at what it was like and ask, you know, is it still like that today? And is there still more we need to do and further we need to grow and learn and move on from that particular time? Because it is a very male-dominated world up there, and clearly there's a great need of diversity, and a different kind of energy would help these guys a lot.
You know, I think people will probably bring back this play every decade, every other decade, because I think there's a relevance to the desperation in the conversations the men are having, to the ones that are being had today. And although a lot of the conversations feel kind of out of date and detached from what we are now, there's also so many parallels and interesting similarities. So it's a real interesting combination of this dated yet relevant dynamics between these desperate men. Yeah.
Well, I think we're all a bit more attuned to like language at the moment in terms of how it's being used by our politicians and overseas, etc. You know, Trump, as we know, cut his teeth selling real estate in the 80s, so there's a sense of language being used to lie or to obfuscate or to make someone do what you want them to do or to cover up huge gaps in understanding. It's also, you know, brilliant to be introducing the play to a whole new generation of theatre goers. We've got 31% first-time theatre goers coming to the play, and you know, the cast, we've got sort of Christian Slater, Stanley Townsend, Don Warrington, Robert Glenister, Chris Marshall, Daniel Ryan and Oliver Ryan. So seeing them all attacking this and sort of celebrating the athletics of acting is kind of very exciting.
Well, we're in a time where the play rings. The pursuit of individualism is a major problem in society now, and people thriving through mendacity. When mendacity thrives, democracy dies, and that's the times we're living in. And this play comments on just how damaging it is to just pursue your own agenda and your own individual agenda as opposed to a more altruistic approach to life, and it flags up the dangers of that pursuit.
Yeah, there's more disparity now between rich and poor, and you know, and it's getting the gap's getting wider, you know. And this play is exactly about those themes. It's about the fact that the men who are doing well get the opportunity to do even better, and the men who are doing not so well don't get the opportunity to get out of that hole. So, you know, that's I think that's why it's current and why it's you know, it's kind of it works as well today as it ever did.
The play stands the test of time very, very well. It's absolutely relevant to today, so why not?
I mean, it's an amazing, amazing play. You know, Mamet is a phenomenal writer. He's captured the sort of American vernacular better than anyone, arguably, and it's no sort of surprise that Tarantino, for example, quotes Mamet as one of his favourite writers. It's a great story with like a top cast who are all at the very height of their game. So it's really great fun. It's a fantastic story, and it sort of oscillates between tragedy, comedy, you know, there are elements of farce in there, and it's just a brilliant kind of aural experience listening to these guys delivering Mamet's language with panache.
It's provocative, it's challenging, and it's funny. It makes you laugh, and then it pulls you up short.
It's a great thing to come to the theatre, and we all gather to hear a story told, and that's an essential thing at the moment, to gather together to hear story. And this is a wonderful story. It'll move you, and it'll make you laugh, make you think.
Why do I feel that people should come and see this production? Well, you know, this is a play that I've always felt sort of as an actor obligated to come and see what other performers have done with these roles. I mean, they're very kind of iconic characters. I was always a huge fan of the movie, and to get the opportunity to do this play and really break it down and analyze it and immerse myself in this character has been extraordinarily exciting, and it's a different energy than the movie, for sure. I think a lot of people are expecting that it's going to be a dark experience and a sort of bogged down, but really I find it to be rather entertaining, and it seems like the play is a lot funnier than the movie. So it's been fun to bring that to an audience and have them experience that.